First off, Coach Elliot, we were just talking about it. It's kind of been, I imagine, a whirlwind couple of months from you. For you, a couple months ago, you're in South Bend, and now you're here. Have you had a chance to really catch your breath since you've been at Nebraska?
It's been pretty hectic. Coach Riley's good about giving us a day here and there to recover, and so I like that. But once the season comes, there are no breaks. So that's just part of the business and part of what we do.
Cool. And then when it comes to this spring, I know you only get 15 practices with these guys, but do you feel like you guys got installed what you wanted to for now?
I think we did. As a matter of fact, I think we got more installed this spring than most teams do, and places that I've been. We really got a lot of it. Now, when you do that, when you've got a new defense going in, I think it's important that you install as much as you can. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be beautiful when you first install it, but at least the next time we do it in the summer and then again in fall practice, then they'll recognize, oh, I remember that from the spring, and it has a better chance to stick the second and third time that we work with it, as opposed to if you just install your base defense and then you're taking all of your training camp time to install all the other things. I think you got a better chance to retain if you do it this way.
Take us back a couple months ago. You've gone up against Nebraska a handful of times, but the fact that they called you and offered you, what was that moment like, and what did that mean to join the Nebraska football program?
Well, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. I have had great respect for Nebraska over the years, mostly as an opponent who just got his tail whipped in Lincoln or wherever else we play too. And so I've had great respect for Nebraska and have great respect for Mike Riley, and Lord knows I know Bob Diaco very well, and the chance to work with Bob again was very enticing. And so there wasn't much discussion. It was just a simple yes.
When you saw Bob during his playing days, did you see that maybe he had the acumen, the knowledge to maybe one day be a coach?
Well, there's no question. He was a brilliant player and a brilliant young coach too. He was my graduate assistant at Iowa, his first job out of the barrel, and he was always smarter than the rest. But he had some other things too. He was a great communicator. He was fun to be around. Personality, was a very gregarious guy, and so you could see the personality traits that leadership is built on. And I always thought he'd be a great leader. I'm not sure I believed that he would go in coaching. I thought he'd be a multimillionaire doing something. I wouldn't have put it past me to be working for him in some other capacity at this point. But when he went into coaching, I was really thrilled about that.
You mentioned you thought maybe he'd be a millionaire someday. So what is it
well,
that...
he might be a millionaire. I haven't checked lately.
Well, when it comes to... It seems like he can really sell kids on his system and his way of coaching. What is it about Bob Diaco that kids buy into on defense?
Well, he's the same guy every day, so there's nothing phony about Bob. His energy is unmatched. His enthusiasm is unmatched. He's a great communicator. And it's a real positive atmosphere. All those things put together and done again and again and again, without changing the way you operate. I think players they like authenticity, and they love his energy and his communication ability.
Now, besides your dozens of years of coaching experience, do you feel like, from interviews, it seems like what you bring to the table is you really connect with players. You really get to know them on an emotional level off the field as well. Do you feel like that's one of maybe your strongest suits you bring to Nebraska?
Well, that's the part of it that I enjoy, and that's the reason I'm still in coaching. And I think coaches that stay in the business figure it out pretty soon that better be the reason that you're in coaching, or you won't make it. You'll be out of it soon enough. The players are what I coach for, and trying to help them become better men, as well as football players, is the most important thing to me.
You've been so busy getting to know your current players, and you're going to be soon recruiting new players. Do you feel like with this 2018 class, have you started to feel some momentum? It feels like there's a lot of energy and momentum in the fan base and in the coaching staff as well to get this 2018 class together. Have you noticed that in your time so far at the office?
I think so. I came late into the recruiting process for this class. That's really funny to say, isn't it? that it goes so early now that I felt late coming into the process. But in reality, you know, these guys had worked and put a lot of it together before I even got here. So the spring game is a huge advantage for us. Nebraska fans come to see their team, but also to make a difference in the program. And this is one way they make a difference, is by selling out the place. And when the recruits come in and take a look at that crowd and that enthusiasm, it really makes a huge difference. So that was part of it. Now we're trying to follow up on that event and see what we can do in putting everything together to make this the best class we've ever had.
Just a couple more questions for you. When it comes to this spring, it seemed like a lot of your players were open to change, whether it be position change or scheme change. You know, Joshua Kalu, you know, moving to safety and all that. So I guess how open do you feel the players have been to you guys as a new defensive staff?
They've been great. They've been great. I think they bought in early, and Bob does a great job with that now. He can get a group of people to buy in, and they bought in early. I think the staff that was here bought in early, and the defensive coaches that were still here, the offensive coaches, they all bought into what we were trying to do, and I think that has been an amazing thing to see, and to see how they were willing to change in some ways. Obviously, the offense is going to be Mike Riley's offense, but there were a lot of things that we did defensively that were different, and culturally that were different, that all the coaches bought into and all the players bought into, which was great to see.